Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start with a brief announcement from our interpreters.
Good evening. At this meeting, we will have interpretation from English into Spanish. To access this function, you must go to the bottom of your screen where you will find the interpretation function that is shown as a globe-shaped icon. Which one pressed will give you the option to choose the channel you want to listen to. Thank you very much. Buenas tardes a todos. En esta reunión contaremos con interpretación de inglés a español. Para acceder a esta función deben dirigirse a la parte inferior de su pantalla, en donde encontrarán la función de interpretación que se muestra como un icono en forma de globo, el cual al presionarlo les dará la opción de elegir el canal que desean escuchar. Asegúrense de seleccionar el canal de español para escuchar todo lo mencionado en esta reunión en español. Muchas gracias.
I am Tracy Creed from the Office of Facilities and Capital Operations. On behalf of my fellow panel members, welcome to the second FY 2026 Capital Hearing. Today is August 20th, 2025. We are holding the second Capital Hearing electronically via Zoom and also live on CPS YouTube channel. The purpose of this second hearing is to comply with the school code provisions regarding the FY26 capital budget. For the record, notice of this public hearing was published in the Chicago Sun-Times, a newspaper of general circulation in the city of Chicago on August 13th, 2025. I would also like to note for the record, the CPS staff members and board members present here today, August 20th, 2025, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Ivan Hansen, Chief Facilities Officer. Vinny Dye, Executive Director of Capital Planning and Construction. That's all that we have here today. Let's begin with the FY26 capital presentation with Ivan Hansen and Vinny Dye.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you all for taking the time to join us today. The objectives for today's presentation is to provide an overview of the proposed FY26 capital budget and obtain feedback from stakeholders. CPS has continued to build on the capital planning process utilized over the last few years. The process for the FY26 capital budget was officially kicked off at the beginning of this year. It began by meeting with individual PACs, CACs, and our LS-CABs to get feedback on the information shared and to also get help in getting as much engagement as possible. In the spring, various departments from CPS, including the Office of Equity, the Office of Family and Community Engagement, and the Department of Capital Planning and Construction, engaged with internal stakeholders. Based on this input and feedback, CPS then conducted 5 community engagement sessions in April. 3 of these meetings were virtual and 2 were held in person. These sessions provided an overview of the CPS portfolio, our extensive critical facility needs, our equity index, the various capital budget categories with clear examples of the scope of work of each category, and then the project prioritization process. These sessions were live via Zoom and also on YouTube with recorded session available to the public. There were over 200 participants, both virtually and in person, for these community engagement sessions with active engagement and Q&A. These sessions also solicited public feedback through online surveys. We received over 5,300 survey responses during the capital planning development process, which is up from the 1,400 responses from the previous year. The responses prioritize critical facility needs, and that is reflected in our capital proposal budget, which allocates funds across various categories. The current plan is to present the recommendations to our August board for approval. Anchored in our CPS strategic plan, Together We Rise, our district aims to be equitable when it comes to investing in our schools and communities. Our approach to equity centers on the principles of targeted universalism, where we believe that instead of giving the same amount of resources to schools with different needs, our investments must reflect the diverse needs of our students, schools, and communities. To do this, we must respect our students and families in the diverse communities in which they live, and include them as partners in our shared mission. We want to ensure we are listening to your feedback and taking that into account when we continue to revise our processes. Our approach to equity is centered on targeted universalism. You can find the framework at www.equity.cps.edu. Targeted universalism says it is important that we get all of our students within our district to the highest goal. We will not lower our expectations for anyone, but we will rise to the occasion in how we serve them. For us, that means we have to do what is in those pastel colors are asking us to do. Liberatory thinking is about our mindsets. Inclusive partnerships are about who we invite to the table, especially prioritizing those most impacted. Resource equity says, where are my resources now? Where do they need to be? And how can we draw in more resources when we need support? Fair policies and systems is how we ensure our policies don't benefit some and burden others. And with that equity lens, we can see the systems and do great work. As you know, our facility portfolio is extremely large, and our average facility age is 85 years old. Our oldest facility is 151, and we maintain over 62 million square feet. To put that in perspective, that'd be the equivalent of 14 Sears Towers. Many years of budgetary constraints have led to a large backlog of deferred need. Our total district immediate critical need is over $3 billion, and that is just to bring all facilities to a state of good repair. Our updated assessments were recently completed, and we are expecting our critical needs to only increase based on these updated assessments. The cost to repair CPS buildings has far exceeded what CPS has historically been able to afford. Because of this, prioritization of capital needs is critical, and CPS values your input during this process. We have recently completed our 23-24 facilities condition assessments in all CPS owned and operated facilities. These assessments were made available on cps.edu this past spring. A few points to highlight on these assessments. These are only a visual inspection of the building systems, and they're not destructive. A sample report, as you see here, includes a rank and quantity for all assessed items at each CPS operated facility. We also have a separate landing page on cps.edu that is now live, and the latest assessment reports were uploaded last spring. Prioritization of critical capital needs is a process as systems are dynamic and constantly changing. This can be driven by a number of factors, including weather, accelerated deterioration, deferred maintenance, or recent investments. Our capital planning approach is outlined here, but it's important to note that the annual capital plan is based on available funding, and this can vary greatly from year to year, which makes planning extremely difficult. Our building needs are based on the most recent facilities condition assessments, which, as I said earlier, were completed this year and are also available on cps.edu. Our portfolio is very large, and the backlog of needs is significant. This, coupled with continued budget constraints, necessitates a needs-based prioritization approach, focusing on priority capital needs. And we must maintain a data-driven approach that allows for equitable allocation of capital funds while also aligning with the district's educational goals and initiatives as outlined in our EFMP. In FY25, we made enhancements to this process, and we will continue to do so in FY26. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to capital planning, and we understand that the current process isn't perfect. However, CPS is committed to improving this process continuously and incorporating public feedback like these meetings today. Our approach this year follows the usual methodology for capital budget categories, but we're also making several process enhancements. We also remain committed to increasing transparency and public outreach, and we will continue to work with our equity and FACE departments to guide us to increase community engagement in the overall capital planning process. And today is a direct result of this partnership. We encourage everyone today to provide comments and questions via the Google form on the FY26 Capital Plan website after this presentation to provide additional feedback and suggestions on how CPS can continue to advance public engagement and community outreach in regards to the capital planning process. As noted before, in recent years, the district has focused on prioritizing investments that promote equitable access to high-quality learning. And this year began by meeting with the individual PACs, CACs, and LSCABs to get information and feedback to get help as much engagement as possible. Additionally, in April, CPS held 5 meetings, with 3 being virtual and 2 being in person, to involve communities to discuss capital priorities for the FY26 capital plan. These sessions, led by CPS Capital Department, our Office of Equity, and the Office of Family and Community Engagement, offered insights into the capital planning process and helped prioritize critical needs. We received over 5,300 survey responses during the capital planning and development process. These responses included a focus on facility needs, which is reflected in the proposed capital budget. All this information helped guide the capital plan that Vinny will now walk you through.
Thank you, Ivan, and good evening to all of you. And thank you again for taking time to be present for this session of the FY 2026 capital plan hearings. As Ivan stated, I'm going to walk you through the FY26 proposed capital budget. The FY 2026 budget for Chicago Public Schools includes a capital budget totaling $555.94 million of investments that will focus on priority facility needs at neighborhood schools. This includes our mechanical systems, which control the indoor environment and air quality of our schools, ADA accessibility, restroom modernizations, student recreation and athletic improvements, site improvements, and a continued expansion of technology upgrades and other academic priorities. To support schools throughout the city, the FY 2026 capital plan provides funding in 5 main areas: critical facility needs, interior improvements, programmatic investments, site improvements, and IT and other technology upgrades. The CPS portfolio includes 522 campuses and 803 buildings with an average age of 85 years old. And the total need for CPS critical facility needs is over $3 billion. Since the FY 2016 budget, CPS has made significant investments into capital improvements across the district. These projects include major renovations to ensure our schools stay warm and dry, facility construction to relieve overcrowding, security cameras to provide a safer environment for our children, and renovations to aid programmatic enhancements, among others. Additionally, CPS is continuing to invest in ADA upgrades to ensure all CPS campuses are more accessible. The FY 2026 capital budget is primarily funded by future issuance of general obligation bonds, which are principally repaid by evidence-based funding. A portion of the FY 2026 budget is also funded by tax increment financing funds, state funding, and other outside resources as they become identified. I'll now take a deeper dive into the budget and explain the categories that make up the $555.94 million budget. The first category is facility needs. The FY 26 capital plan includes almost $311 million to address facility needs throughout the district. This category includes priority envelope and mechanical projects such as our exterior envelope projects, repair or replacement of roofs, windows, and exterior masonry, and mechanical projects are prioritized our most urgent upgrades to core mechanical systems. These improvements directly affect our ability to provide warm and dry facilities to our students, staff, and community. Other programs in the facility needs category include repairing and/or replacing obsolete critical systems like our fire alarm replacement program, our chimney stabilization and mason remediation program, as well as critical temperature controls or our building automation systems. Also included is emergency unanticipated facility repairs, and this is established to address emergency situations that arise from things like fire, flood, or freezing, and any unforeseen facility repairs that come with an aging portfolio like ours. CPS will continue to incorporate sustainable materials into these projects as we have modified our specifications to include things like energy efficient mechanical equipment, roofs with higher R value, low volatile organic compound content paint, to name a few. Additionally, there will be a focus on the energy efficiency program where we are allocating funds for a pilot program for the Green Schools board resolution that was passed in June. Starting with the FY 2021 capital budget, CPS committed to a multi-year plan to improve accessibility for our parking lots, main entrances, main offices, and public restrooms. We will invest almost $10 million to increase accessibility in schools across the district as a part of this multi-year program to ensure all CPS buildings have first floor accessibility. The next category is interior improvements. It includes over $16 million in interior improvements, and part of these improvements include our restroom modernization program. This category was added as a part of the FY 2021 budget and continues, and it came about as a result of feedback collected during the capital community engagement process. And again, it was a big focus from our survey this year. In this program, CPS is committed to renovating at least one male, one female, and one all-gender restroom in all district elementary schools. Another component of interior improvements is based upon the EFMP roundtables that were held last year. It was a space to discuss and gather feedback and ideas since we know we have underutilized and overcrowded buildings. Based on public feedback, the space efficiency category was added to the budget in FY 2025, and we look to continue this category in FY 2026. It will continue to develop deep dives into our building portfolio to determine options to increase efficiencies in building operations and reduce operational costs, as well as determine if there are building types that are no longer current and that should be demolished or replaced. Additionally, we will determine if there are campuses that are overcrowded with no other solution other than a capital investment to relieve overcrowding. Public feedback to the EFMP acknowledged the underutilized and overcrowded buildings, and this will continue a detailed analysis to address these challenges as a part of a long-term plan. The next category is programmatic investments. This budget includes over $28 million in programmatic investments, including pre-K and nutrition upgrades and student recreation and athletic resources. This investment continues the district's stadium and swimming pool refurbishment program, and it includes $15 million in outside funding from TIF. The next category is IT security and other investments. In the FY 2026 capital plan, we are continuing our multi-year investment in the technology modernization program and high-speed internet for schools throughout the city. This budget includes over $113 million to upgrade school network infrastructure to address equitable connectivity, replace aging hardware at schools, and upgrade our data warehouse and data backups. It also includes a major upgrade to our Oracle system. This budget includes about $5 million in outside funding from federal E-rate funds. And finally, to support the cleanliness at every school, it includes $5.5 million of funds to continue the insourcing of our custodial equipment to better serve our students. The next category is site improvements. This year's budget includes over $23 million to design and build new playgrounds, playlots, and schoolyards across the city so that students can benefit from a well-rounded education that promotes healthy and active development. In addition, $5 million would be allocated to improve parking lots and other site improvements. This category includes $10.3 million in outside funding from our Space to Grow partners, the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District and the Chicago Department of Water Management. To date, 36 elementary schools have received green upgrades to their playgrounds, and 5 more are scheduled to open this fall as a part of the Space to Grow program. This has been a good partnership where CPS gets the benefit of supplemental funding, a new outdoor space, and the community benefits from additional stormwater retention due to these projects. The next category is the capital project support services, and this comes at a cost of about $23 million, which is necessary to implement a capital program as well as support facilities projects. And this includes the management, planning, design, assessment, estimating, and more. All services needed to successfully implement a capital plan of this size, $555.94 million. The last category here is a potential outside funding. This budget includes $25 million in potential outside funding from anticipated Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, or DCEO, grants that are currently in process with the state. Here is a map of the capital projects overlaid against the UIC Hardship Index score, where the higher the score, the darker the purple, and the higher the hardship. Starting in the FY 2021 capital plan, CPS utilized its equity index to prioritize projects across the city, and in the process, we have closed opportunity gaps by investing funding in schools furthest from opportunity. You can see here that the FY 2026 capital plan projects that were prioritized are aligned with areas of hardship based on data and based on your feedback. Here's another map where you can see that the FY 2026 budget will impact many communities across the city. And full details of the FY 2026 capital budget are available on the Interactive Capital Plan website on cps.edu/capital plan 2026. This site also allows users to quickly select projects by school, geographic area, type, and year. We will now answer some previously received questions from our public comment forum, which can also be assessed at cps.edu/capital plan 2026 if you would like to submit a comment or question. So the first question we received was, how are capital plans prioritized? As Ivan stated, there is no one-size-fits-all to capital planning, and we understand that our current process is imperfect. However, CPS is committed to improving this process continuously and incorporating public feedback from meetings like these today. The capital plan is developed through a data-driven, needs-based approach. And this is informed from a variety of resources, including the facility condition assessments that are completed every 2 years, and they are also informed by our on-site facilities personnel. We also take into account the equity index, as well as information received from survey responses related to capital community engagement sessions that we held in the spring. The plan also needs to align with the district's initiatives like the ADA accessibility, as well as taking into account how to maximize the impact of our capital spend on students and student experiences. The next question is, how does this plan incorporate green initiatives? CPS will continue to incorporate sustainable materials into our capital projects as our specifications were modified to include various types of materials, such as energy efficient mechanical equipment, roofs with higher R value, low volatile organic compounds or content for our paint, to name a few. Additionally, there will be a continued focus on energy efficiency program where we are allocating funds for a pilot program for the Green Schools Board resolution that was passed in June. And then the final question that we received is there a focus on ADA accessibility as part of the capital plan? Accessibility remains a critical capital priority for CPS, and we have worked very closely with the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities to develop a capital investment strategy. And this multi-year investment, which has resulted in incremental progress with over 400 schools being first floor usable. Additionally, other projects, not just specifically ADA projects, can include elements that will help with accessibility at our campuses. Again, if you would like to make a comment, please do so on the CPS website at cps.edu/capital plan 2026. With that, I'd like to turn it back over to Tracy for the public comment segment.
Thank you, Ivan and Vinny. We will now proceed with today's public comment segment. Before doing so, I would like to share the directions for public comment. For the record, I would like to note that the registration for the public hearing began on Wednesday, August 13th, 2025 at 5 p.m. and closed on Friday, August 15th, 2025 at 5 p.m. or until all 30 slots filled for each of the hearings, whichever occurred first. Individuals who registered to speak will have 2 minutes to comment. Participants will be alerted when 30 seconds remain. After 2 minutes, the facilitator will end the speaking time and promptly proceed to the next participant. I will be calling speakers in chronological order. Members of the public may submit written comments related to the FY2026 proposed capital budget via the capital budget hearing public comment form posted on our website at www.cps.edu/capital plan 2026 until Thursday, August 21st, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. This hearing will conclude after the last person who has registered to speak has spoken or at 7:30 p.m., August 20th, whichever occurs first. When called, please state your name for the record. I will proceed by calling the first speaker, Robert Chrisley. Please press *6 to unmute. Rob Chrisley. Okay, Rob isn't here. I'll proceed to the next caller, Felicia Tate. Felicia Tate, please press *6 to unmute.
Hello?
Yes,
Hi,
we
can
can
everyone
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yes, we can hear
Hi,
you.
so my name is Felicia Tate, and I first like to give a compliment out to the team because I can greatly see improvements as I drive through different neighborhoods and I can see things are changing. So for being someone on the South Side and looking at the schools in our community, I can definitely see change and it's appreciated. So I would like to thank you all for that. Going forward, I have a child now in high school that's attending King, and over the couple of weeks, I had to do the formal registration. However, I had to use the bathroom, and the bathroom can definitely use an upgrade. So I'm wondering, because what I saw was 3 small stalls with 1 sink. One of the stalls seemed inoperable. So I'm wondering, is there money in a capital budget that we can possibly upgrade the students to have a better quality bathroom?
Thank you, Felicia, for your comment.
Thank you.
We will. Okay. I will proceed by calling the next speaker, Aquanetta Baker. Aquanetta, please press *6 to unmute. Aquanetta Baker, can you please press *6 to unmute? I'm sorry, can you press *6 to unmute?
Sorry, that took forever to unmute. I'm sorry.
No problem.
My name
Please
is
proceed.
Aquanetta Baker. Can you hear me? My name is Aquanetta Baker. I'm calling on behalf of Limblom High School. I noticed the recent upgrade, and I know this isn't a capital issue, but my daughter constantly complains about the lunch line, the long lunch line, because there is only 1 serving line, and sometimes they don't have enough time to eat. Is there anything you guys can do to alleviate this issue?
Thank you, Ms. Baker. We will take that into consideration. Thanks for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this concludes the public comment segment. If you have additional comments, please submit them at www.cps.edu/capital plan 2026. Thank you again for your participation. This concludes the second FY2026 Capital hearing.